The lock clicked behind me. Not a gentle click, not the sound of a door closing at night. This was the hard, final sound that says, "You are not leaving." I stood in a small room that smelt of damp coats and old paint. A single bulb above my head buzzed like an angry fly. My suitcase sat by my feet like a loyal dog that could not help me. Then I heard my son's voice on the other side of the door, low, rushed, not loving. "Just keep her down there," he said. "She'll calm down. She always does." And his wife answered, sharp as broken glass. "She's not going upstairs, not until the money is in our account." My throat went dry. Money. That was why they had asked me to come. That was why they had begged, pleaded, smiled, and called me Mum in that sweet way that makes your heart go soft. I pressed my palm to the door. It was cold, and the bolt was already slid into place. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. Not yet. Because the oldest lesson I know is this: panic makes you stupid. And right now, I had to be clever. Before I go on, do one thing for me. Tap, like, and follow, because this story might save someone's parent or even you from the kind of family trap people don't talk about. And if you've ever felt that strange warning in your chest, even when someone is smiling at you, you'll understand why I trusted my gut more than my heart. Now let me take you back to the moment it started. It began with a message from my son, Liam. I hadn't heard his voice properly for a long time. Not a real conversation. Just quick calls, rushed words, excuses, and a promise to visit soon. Then one evening, my phone lit up with his name. My hands actually shook when I picked it up. "Mum," he said, and his voice sounded warm. "I want you with us now. No more living on your own." I remember sitting at my little kitchen table, the one with the chipped corner. I remember the kettle whistling. I remember thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe my life is about to become softer. He told me he and his wife, Sienna, had finally made it. He said they were in a beautiful house now, the kind of place you see in magazines. He told me I didn't need to worry about heating bills or the stairs in my old place anymore. "You've done your time," he said. "Come and enjoy your later years with us." He made it sound like love. He made it sound like a gift. Then he said the first thing that should have made me pause. "Mum, you should sell your house." I laughed at first. "Sell it? Oh, why would I do that?" "Because it's dead money," he said quickly. "You know that. The market's changing. And if anything happens to you, it'll be a mess. Sell it and keep things simple. We'll help you invest it properly." "Liam," I said, "this house is my safety. It's bricks," he replied. "We're your safety." I should have held on to that sentence and turned it around in my hands. I should have asked why a grown man sounded so desperate when talking about his mother's money. But he was my son. And when your child speaks gently, your brain becomes soft. I didn't do it all at once. I didn't sign the first thing put in front of me. I asked questions. I delayed. I said I needed time. And Liam was patient at first. He called more. He sent voice notes. Sienna even called me Mum and said she wanted us to be a proper family. And then the pressure started. "Mum, the buyer is ready now. Mum, if you don't do it this week, you could lose value. Mum, we need you to act quickly." The word need kept appearing, not want, not when you're ready. Need. I told myself it was excitement, that they were proud, that they wanted me included. In the end, I sold my place. The money from the sale was not pocket change. It was my whole life in numbers. Years of work, careful saving, no fancy holidays, no reckless spending. When it came through, Liam told me not to do a normal bank transfer yet. "Don't send it anywhere," he said. "Just bring proof of funds when you come. We'll sort it properly here with a solicitor. Safer, cleaner." Proof of funds. Another phrase that should have made me stop. But I packed my suitcase. I left my small street behind. I locked my old front door for the last time. And in my coat pocket, I carried a bank document showing a sum that made my stomach twist with fear and pride at the same time. Because even if you're careful, it still feels unreal to see your whole life in one figure. When I arrived at their new place, the taxi dropped me at the end of a long private lane. It was quiet. Too quiet. The house sat back from the road, hidden behind tall hedges and a gate that looked like it belonged to someone important. Clean lines, dark metal. Cameras perched like little eyes. It looked expensive, not cozy, not lived in. I walked up to the gate and pressed the intercom. Nothing. I tried again. Silence. I checked my phone. No missed calls. No message. No, we're on our way. I stood there holding my suitcase handle so tight my knuckles hurt. That was when a man from next door hurried over, waving his hand like he was trying to stop a car. "Love," he said, breathless. "Don't go in there." I blinked at him. "Sorry?" He looked at my suitcase, then at my face, then behind me as if he was expecting someone to appear. "I'm not trying to scare you," he said, "but you need to hear this. Don't go in that house." "That's my son's house," I said, louder than I meant to. "He invited me." The man's mouth tightened. "That's what the last lady said." My chest went tight. "Last lady?" He leaned in, lowering his voice. "You're not the first parent they've brought round. I've seen it. I've heard it. They don't keep people long, and it never ends well." I felt my face heat up with embarrassment. I wanted to defend my son. I wanted to tell this stranger to mind his business. But then he pointed at the front door. Even from the gate, I could see a sheet of paper taped to the glass. Half ripped, like someone had tried to tear it down. "Look at that," he said. "That's not a party invite." I walked closer, slowly. The paper had words in bold and a logo at the top. It looked official, cold. I didn't understand everything, but I understood enough. It was about possession, about leaving, about the property not belonging to the people inside. My mouth went dry again. The neighbour swallowed. "They're not owners," he said. "They're in some kind of mess. I've had letters through my door from a managing agent. I've seen the locksmith once. I've heard shouting at night. I've called it in." I turned to him, shaking my head like the motion could shake away the truth. "You're saying my son is—" "What?" "Breaking in." "I'm saying someone is meant to live there, and it isn't them," he replied. "And when the clock runs down, they panic. They find someone soft, someone they can push." My fingers went, without thinking, to my coat pocket, the bank paper, the money. The neighbour saw the movement and his eyes sharpened. "They'll ask you for it," he said quietly. "They'll make it sound normal, like it's for your own good. And if you step inside, you won't have control anymore." I tried to speak, but my tongue felt thick. Then I heard a car coming fast down the lane. A shiny car swung in, music thumping, tires crunching on gravel like it didn't care who was watching. It stopped right in front of the gate. Liam stepped out, and the first thing he did was not hug me. He stared at the neighbour like he wanted to smash something. "Get away from my mum," he snapped. The neighbour lifted his hands. "I'm trying to warn her." Liam moved between us, gripping my shoulder. Not a gentle grip, a steering grip. "Mum," he said fast, "don't listen to him. He's been harassing us. He's jealous. He's not right in the head." His wife got out next, Sienna, looking perfect in a way that didn't match the situation. Hair done, nails done, face calm. But her eyes were not calm. They were watching me like I was a bag someone forgot to collect. She went to the front door and tried to unlock it. The key stuck. She forced it, twisted it hard. The neighbour called out one last time. "Check the land registry. Ask to see the title register. Don't hand over your phone." Liam slammed the door behind us so hard, the sound bounced through the hallway. Inside, the house felt wrong. It looked big, yes, but it didn't feel like people lived there. There were no shoes by the door, no coat hooks with coats, no family smell of washing powder or cooking. Just stale air, empty space, and silence. I looked into the main room. No sofa, no telly, no pictures. Just bare walls and dust in the corners. Liam smiled at me, but it was a smile you wear, not a smile you feel. "Welcome home, Mum," he said. Then, as if we were chatting about tea, he asked, "You've got the paperwork with you, yeah? The bank proof?" I stared at him. I had travelled across the country to be loved, and the first thing he wanted was proof of my money. Before I could answer, Liam held out his hand. "Phone," he said. "My phone?" I repeated. "Just for a bit," he replied smoothly. "It's safer. That neighbour's a creep. Sienna's got a rule. No devices for the first day. Or family time." It sounded gentle, but his hand stayed out, waiting, testing, and something inside me went cold because I suddenly realized this wasn't a welcome. It was a procedure. I placed my phone in his hand. He slipped it into his pocket like he'd been waiting for it. Then he guided me past the stairs, past the bright rooms I'd imagined. He opened a narrow door and nodded down into a dark space. "Your room's down here," he said. Cooler, quieter. I stepped down, a single bulb, bare walls, a thin mattress, no window. I turned back, confused. "Liam, what is this?" He gave me a quick smile. "Temporary, just until we sort everything." Then he stepped back. The door shut, the bolt slid. And that's where you found me at the start of this chapter. Alone in the dark, listening to my son say I would calm down. And his wife say I wasn't coming upstairs until the money was in their account. I stood still, breathing slow, because here is the first lesson I want every adult to hear. If someone you love takes your phone, rushes your money, and isolates you from the outside world, that is not care. That is control. And control is the first step in a scam. I walked to my suitcase and opened the small inner pocket I never told Liam about. The pocket I stitched in years ago after a fraud case at work taught me one painful truth. The people closest to you can be the boldest thieves. My fingers touched the spare pay-as-you-go mobile I'd brought just in case. 1 bar of signal. I raised it. Then I heard footsteps coming down the stairs. slow, deliberate, and Liam's voice right outside the door, softer now, almost kind. "Mum," he said, "let's talk about signing a few things." And the lock began to turn. The lock turned, slow and careful, like someone opening a cage they built on purpose. My son's voice came through the door first, soft and sweet, the way it used to be when he wanted a favor as a teenager. "Mum, don't be upset," he said. "We're just trying to keep things simple. You've had a long day." The bolt slid back. The door opened a crack. A thin strip of light cut across the floor and landed on my suitcase. I stood with my hands by my sides, calm on the outside, even though my heart was thumping hard enough to shake my ribs. Liam stepped in, blocking most of the doorway with his body. Sienna hovered behind him, half hidden, watching me like I was a problem she couldn't wait to solve. Liam smiled. "There she is. You're all right, see?" I didn't answer. Sienna's eyes dropped to my coat pocket. "Did you bring it?" Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "Do you need water?" Not, "Did the journey tire you out?" Just, "Did you bring it?" I looked at Liam. "Why am I down here?" He let out a little laugh, like I'd made a silly joke. "It's not like that. It's just, the house is being sorted. We've got workmen in and out. This bit's quieter." Sienna cut in. "And you were talking to that man outside. We can't have you getting confused by strangers. People will try to fill your head with nonsense." I kept my voice steady. "He said you don't own this house." Liam's smile stiffened for half a second, then returned. "He's obsessed. He's always reporting people. He's bored. He thinks he's some sort of hero." Sienna stepped forward, holding a glass of water like it was proof she was kind. "Drink. What? You look pale." I took the glass, but I didn't drink. Not yet. Because the second lesson I want every adult to remember is simple. If you are in a place you don't control, never swallow anything the first time it's offered when the mood feels wrong. Liam glanced at the glass, then at my face, like he was measuring me. "You're tired?" he said. "It's normal to feel a bit overwhelmed." I swallowed my anger. I forced a small nod, like I was a bit confused. I let my shoulders slump. They relaxed slightly when I did that. People like Liam and Sienna relax when you look smaller. Liam stepped fully into the room and pulled out his phone. My phone. He held it up like he was doing me a favor. "I'm just sorting your security," he said. "Loads of scams at the moment. People can clone your number, steal your banking, all sorts. I'm protecting you." I kept my face blank. "Give it back." His eyes flashed, just for a moment. Then he smoothed it over. "After we sort everything," he said. "You don't need it yet. You've got us." Sienna's voice was sharp. "Stop making it difficult. You came here to be looked after, so let us look after you." I stared at her, really stared, and I felt something inside me settle. Not sadness, not shock. Clarity. Because no one who truly cares about you calls you difficult when you ask for your own phone back. Liam crouched slightly, trying to look gentle. "Mum, we need to talk about the money from the house, the sale. We can help you. We've got a plan." I said quietly, my plan was to keep it safe. "We're keeping it safe," he insisted, too fast. "That's the point. We've spoken to someone, a professional." Sienna nodded. "You're a financial advisor. Proper. Not like the old days where you keep things in one account and hope for the best." I almost laughed, but I swallowed it. Sienna wasn't wearing the face of someone who had a proper advisor. She was wearing the face of someone who had practiced a script. Liam held out his hand again. "Show us the proof of funds." I didn't move. His voice stayed calm, but the patience drained out of it. "Mum, please. We need to know what we're working with. It's normal. Just show us." I sat down on the mattress slowly, like my knees hurt more than they did. I took a breath and said, "What's the rush?" Sienna answered before Liam could. "Because we have deadlines." There it was, the truth slipping out by mistake. Deadlines. Not love. Not family. Deadlines. Liam shot her a look, then smiled at me again. "She just means, you know, life, bills, things. We've taken on a lot. We moved here for you as well." "For me?" I echoed, very softly. Sienna's smile was thin. "Yes, for you. This place isn't cheap. The council tax alone is mad, and we've set things up. So yes, for you." That sentence told me more than she realized. People who are truly wealthy don't threaten you with council tax. Liam leaned in, voice lower now, like we were sharing a secret. "Mum, we don't want you worrying about paperwork and banks. You've done enough. Let us take over." "Take over what?" I asked. Sienna's eyes narrowed. "Control. Responsibility. It's safer if Liam has power of attorney." The words hit the air like a slap. Power of attorney. That's not something you bring up on day one. In a room with a locked door, after taking someone's phone. That's something you discuss slowly, is with independent advice, with time to think, with a solicitor who works for the parent, not the child. I kept my voice gentle. "I'm not signing anything today." The room went still. Liam's face stayed calm, but his jaw tightened. "Mum, don't be like that." Sienna stepped closer. "If you don't sign, it becomes messy." I tilted my head. "Messy for who?" She didn't answer. Liam tried a different tone. "Mum, you're older now. Things can happen. Falls, confusion. It's better to plan before anything goes wrong." I let my eyes widen a bit, like I was frightened by his words. I played along. "And if I don't?" Sienna gave a small shrug. "Then we have to protect ourselves." Protect themselves from me, their own mother. I looked down at the glass of water in my hand. I decided to do something simple, something safe, something that would tell me a lot. I lifted it to my lips and took the smallest sip, just enough to wet my mouth. Then I placed it down and watched their faces. Sienna's shoulders dropped, like she'd been holding her breath. Liam blinked slowly and smiled again. They had wanted me to drink. That told me enough. Not that the drink was poisoned. I'm not saying that. I'm saying something felt wrong, and when something feels wrong, you treat it like it might be dangerous until you know it isn't. Liam straightened up. "Good. Rest. Then we'll talk upstairs later." He stepped back toward the door, and I did the next thing you should always do when someone is trying to control you. I asked a simple question that forces details. "Who owns this house, Liam?" He paused. Not long, just a beat too long. "It's ours," he said. I nodded slowly. "Show me." His smile tightened again. "What do you mean, show you?" Show me your name on the land registry, I said, or the tenancy agreement, or the mortgage statement. Anything. Sienna's face hardened. Why are you acting like you don't trust your own son? I kept my tone calm. Because you took my phone, you locked me in a room, and you're asking for my money. Liam's eyes flashed, and this time he didn't hide it quickly enough. He stepped forward, voice dropping. Mum, don't push this. There was a warning in it, a threat wrapped in family language. I lowered my gaze like I was frightened. I let my voice wobble. All right, I said softly. All right, I'm just tired. They relaxed again. That's how you know a person is dangerous. They relax when you stop resisting. Liam opened the door and stepped out. Sienna lingered for a second, staring at me like she wanted to say something cruel. Then she said it. Don't wander, and don't call anyone. You'll only embarrass yourself. She shut the door. The bolt slid back into place, and I was alone again. I didn't move for a full minute. I listened. Footsteps going up the stairs, a door closing, a muffled argument, then silence. Only then did I reach into my suitcase, into the hidden pocket, and pull out the pay-as-you-go mobile. 1 bar, still 1 bar. Enough. My hands were steady as I typed a message to the only person I trusted without doubt. It wasn't a long message. Long messages can be read. Long messages can be misunderstood. I typed, I'm locked in. They want POA. They've taken my phone. Check land registry. Call safeguarding if needed. Then I sent it. After that, I did something else. I started my own little audit. Not of numbers, yet, of reality. Because the third lesson is this. When you suspect manipulation, don't argue feelings, collect facts. I walked around the room slowly. The walls were painted, but badly. Brush marks, cheap paint. The skirting board had water damage. There was a small dehumidifier in the corner, unplugged. The room smelled like it had flooded once. This wasn't a finished guest suite. This was a storage space dressed up just enough to hold a person. I knelt near the door and checked the lock. Solid. No easy release. No inside latch I could flick. Then I looked for what most people forget. Exits. There was a tiny window high up near the ceiling, the kind meant for airflow. It was too small for me, but it told me something important. This room was not designed for comfort. It was designed to keep someone out of sight. I sat back down and forced myself to think through the situation like a grown adult, not a mother in shock. They wanted my money. They wanted my signature. They wanted control. And they wanted it fast, which meant they were under pressure, real pressure. And in my experience, people under pressure make mistakes. Time passed. I don't know how long. It's hard to measure time when you're in a room with no clock and no control. That's another trick, by the way. Take away someone's phone and they lose their sense of time. When you lose your sense of time, you lose your sense of power. Eventually, the bolt slid again. This time, Sienna came down alone. She had changed clothes, comfy loungewear, perfect hair, face like she was about to film herself making a smoothie. She carried a tray, a plate with 2 biscuits, a mug of tea, another glass of water. Here, she said, too bright. We don't want you thinking we're monsters. I looked at the tray and kept my face calm. Thank you. She placed it down and leaned on the doorframe, arms folded. Liam's stressed, she said. You know how men get. He just wants to fix things. Fix what? I asked. She sighed like I was slow. Life. Money. The future. I picked up the mug and smelled it. Tea, milk, sugar. Normal. But the moment I lifted it, she watched my mouth. Not my eyes. My mouth. That tiny detail made my stomach turn. Because people who are offering you tea don't stare at your lips unless they're waiting for something. I put the mug down without drinking. Sienna's smile twitched. What's wrong? She asked. Nothing, I said quietly. I'm just not thirsty. She stepped closer. You need to drink. You're older. Dehydration messes with your head. You don't want to get confused, do you? There it was again. Confused, the word they kept planting, like they were building a story. A story where I was not reliable. A story where they could say, she didn't know what she was doing, or she's not well, or we had to step in. I kept my voice gentle. If you're worried about me, give me my phone back. Let me ring my GP. Let me ring my sister. Sienna laughed once, cold. You don't need a GP. You need to stop fighting. Then her tone changed, just slightly. If you keep making this difficult, she said, people will think you're not coping. I stared at her. Who will think that? She shrugged. Doctors, social services, anyone we tell. My fingers went cold. So that was the play. Not just money, control through a label. I nodded slowly, how acting scared. I don't want trouble. Then cooperate, she said. She picked up my bank paper from my coat pocket like she owned it. I hadn't even felt her hand go in. That's how close she'd stood. She waved it lightly. This, she said, is just sitting there doing nothing. Liam can sort it, but he needs authority. And if I refuse? I asked, voice small on purpose. Sienna bent closer and spoke softly, as if she were giving loving advice. Then we'll do it the hard way. She smiled, like she was proud of herself, then turned to leave. Before she shut the door, she looked back and added, almost casually, Oh, and just so you know, the neighbour outside? If you try to contact him again, Liam will call the police and say you're being exploited. They'll believe him. He's young. He's confident. You. The door shut. The bolt slid. And I sat on the mattress, staring at the tray. Tea, biscuits. A normal little British peace offering, but offered in a way that felt like a trap. I didn't touch it. Instead, I pulled out my pay-as-you-go mobile again and checked for a reply. Nothing yet. Then the phone buzzed once. A message came through from the person I'd contacted. 2 short lines. Land registry shows different owner. Not Liam. Get out if you can. I'm calling adult safeguarding now. My throat tightened, but not with fear this time. With relief. Because the truth was confirmed. The neighbour wasn't lying. My son wasn't just pressuring me. He was standing on someone else's property, trying to steal his mother's money before the world caught up. I sat very still. Then, above me, I heard Liam's voice again, excited, rushed. She's here, he said. Yeah, she's in. We just need her signature. Tomorrow morning, first thing, we move the money? A second voice answered him. A man's voice. Not the neighbour's, not a friend's. Older, professional. And the words that floated down through the floor made my stomach drop. Make sure she's assessed before she signs. If she won't cooperate, we can still proceed if she lacks capacity. Bring her up. I'll handle it. I stared at the locked door. Assessed. Capacity. A stranger in my son's house, ready to decide whether my mind belonged to me. And I heard footsteps starting down the stairs, slow and certain, as if the next person coming through that door didn't care whether I agreed or not. The footsteps on the stairs were slow, confident, like whoever was coming down had done this before. The bolt slid. The door opened. Liam stood there first, and beside him was a man in a smart coat holding a thin folder. He had the calm face of someone who speaks in meetings and never raises his voice. Sienna hovered behind them, arms crossed, lips pressed tight, already annoyed that I was still a person with choices. "Mum," Liam said, too cheerful, "this is Mr. Hargreaves. He's here to help us sort the formalities." Mr. Hargreaves nodded at me, not warm, not cold, just professional. "Good evening. I'm an independent assessor." Independent? That word is supposed to make you feel safe. But there's a trick adults learn the hard way. People can call themselves independent while standing in the same room as the person who benefits from your answer. I stayed sitting. I kept my voice gentle. An assessor for what? Mr. Hargreaves opened his folder. Mental capacity. Only to ensure you understand what you're signing. Sienna stepped forward, smiling like this was all normal. "It's just a box tick. Nothing dramatic." "Nothing dramatic," she said, as if I wasn't locked in a room. I looked at Liam. "Give me my phone back." Liam's face tightened. "Mum, stop. We're trying to do this properly." "Properly would include my phone," I said. Mr. Hargreaves glanced at Liam, then back at me. It's Margaret," I said. "Margaret," he repeated. "I want to ask you a few simple questions. It won't take long." I nodded once. "Ask." He started with easy things. The date, the season, my full name, the Prime Minister's surname. Then he asked me about money. "Do you know the value of your assets?" he said. I swallowed. "Yes." "Can you tell me what you intend to do with them?" I looked straight at him. "Keep them safe. I pay for my care if I need it, and make decisions without being rushed." Sienna made a small sound, like a bored laugh. Mr. Hargreaves wrote something down. "And do you understand what power of attorney means?" "Yes," I said. "It means someone can make decisions on your behalf. It can be useful, but it can also be abused." Liam's eyes flicked to Sienna, irritated. Mr. Hargreaves nodded slowly. "Good. And do you feel under pressure to sign anything?" The air in the room went still. This was the moment. If I said yes, Liam would explode. If I said no, they would push harder. So I did something I learned years ago, back when I worked in finance and people tried to rush me through approvals. I answered with a clean fact instead of emotion. "I'm locked in a room," I said calmly. "My phone was taken. I was told not to contact anyone. But that is pressure." Mr. Hargreaves paused, pen hovering. Sienna snapped. "She's being dramatic." Liam forced a laugh. "Mum, you're misunderstanding. We locked it because the house alarm is sensitive. It's for safety." I lifted my chin. "Then open it and give me my phone." Liam didn't move. Mr. Hargreaves closed his folder, slowly. "Margaret, I can't complete an assessment under these conditions. It's not appropriate. Sienna's eyes flashed. What do you mean, not appropriate? I mean, he said, still calm. The environment needs to be free of coercion, and she needs access to independent advice. A solicitor, not connected to you. Liam's face went pale. We're not coercing anyone. Mr. Hargreaves looked at him, then looked back at me. Margaret, do you want me to contact anyone for you? I almost laughed at the irony. But a stranger was offering me help inside my son's trap. I kept my voice steady. Yes, I want my phone, and I want to leave this room. Sienna stepped forward like she couldn't hold her temper anymore. You can't just... Mr. Hargreaves raised a hand, firm but polite. Sienna, I'm going upstairs. If you don't give her phone back and allow her to contact someone, I'll make a safeguarding referral myself. Tonight. The word safeguarding landed like a brick. Because safeguarding is not a social media threat. It's not gossip. It's a real process. It's for adults at risk. And the moment you mention it, the game changes. Liam's voice cracked a bit. There's no need for that. Mr. Hargreaves didn't argue. He simply looked at Liam and waited. Liam's shoulders dropped, just slightly. He reached into his pocket and pulled out my phone. Here, he said, and his voice was tight with anger. I took it and held it like it was oxygen. Sienna hissed, "This is ridiculous." Mr. Hargreaves stepped back toward the stairs. I'll be upstairs. Margaret, call whoever you trust, and if you wish to leave, you should be allowed to leave. He went up, leaving the three of us in that small room. Liam's mask fell. You're ruining everything, he said. I stared at him. Everything? The plan? Sienna snapped. You always do this. You make everything hard. I took a slow breath and did the one thing that turns chaos into clarity. I asked the question nobody wants to answer. Whose house is this, Liam? He didn't respond fast enough. Sienna answered instead, voice sharp. Stop fixating on that neighbour's nonsense. I nodded once. So it's not yours. Liam's jaw clenched. It's complicated. Complicated means no, I said. It means someone else owns it. Liam took a step closer. Mum, listen. We've had a tough run. Things happen. Business is messy. We just needed time. Time bought with my money, I said quietly. Sienna's eyes went hard. You owe him. He's your son. I let that hang in the air. Then I said very calmly, I don't owe anyone my freedom. Liam's face twisted, angry and desperate. We didn't lock you up. We just needed you calm. You always get emotional. I held up my phone. I'm about to make a call. Sienna lunged forward, quick, like she was going to snatch it. Liam grabbed her wrist. Don't, he hissed. He looked at me, and I saw something ugly in his eyes. Not love, not guilt, fear. Not fear of losing me. Fear of being seen. I dialed the number I had saved earlier. The person I trusted. The one who had already told me the land registry showed a different owner. The call connected. A steady voice answered. Margaret. Listen, I said, keeping my tone plain. I'm in their house. I've got my phone back. There's an assessor here. They're pushing power of attorney. The land registry doesn't match Liam. I need help now. Stay calm, the voice replied. I've already made the safeguarding referral. I'm also calling 101. Keep your phone on. If you can get to the front door, do it, but don't fight. Don't sign anything. I swallowed. They're right here. Put it on speaker, they said. I did. The voice came through clearly. Liam, Sienna, you are on speaker. Safeguarding has been notified. Police are being contacted. Do not prevent Margaret from leaving. Do not ask her to sign documents. If you do, it will be recorded as coercion. Sienna's face went bright red. Who is this? Someone who will testify. The voice replied simply. Liam's hands started to shake. Okay, he said, trying to sound calm. Everyone relax. Mum can leave if she wants. We're not stopping her. I stood up slowly. My legs were steady, even if my heart wasn't. I picked up my suitcase. Sienna scoffed. Where will you go? Back to your little house? You sold it. I looked at her and kept my voice simple. I'll go somewhere safe. That's another lesson adults need to hear. You do not need the perfect plan to leave. You just need a safe place for the next 2 hours. Liam moved aside, half-hearted, like he wanted to block the door but didn't dare. I walked up the stairs. The house looked different when you're no longer trying to believe in it. It looked staged. Too clean in some places, neglected in others. A fancy lamp with dust around the base. A glossy kitchen with an empty fridge. A smell of air freshener trying to cover stale air. Mr. Hargreaves stood in the hallway, arms folded, watching. He nodded at me. Good. Sienna started talking fast, chasing us with words like she could trap me again. She's confused. She's overreacting. She's always been dramatic. Mr. Hargreaves didn't even look at her. He looked at Liam. Let her leave. We reached the front door. The paper I'd seen earlier was still there, half torn, official looking. I didn't stop to read it now, because sometimes the best evidence is not a paper. It's a pattern. At the door, Liam tried one last time. Mum, he said, and now his voice sounded like a child again. Please, if you walk out, it'll destroy us. I looked at him, really looked, a grown man, begging, not for forgiveness, but for control. I said softly, You did this to yourself the moment you decided I was worth more as money than as a mother. And I opened the door. Cold air hit my face. The neighbour from earlier was outside, standing near his gate, arms folded, watching like he'd been expecting this moment. He called out, You all right, love? I nodded once. I will be. A police car arrived not long after, not sirens, just quiet authority. 2 officers stepped out and spoke to me first. That mattered. Because in real safeguarding, they separate people. They listen to the vulnerable adult first. I told them the facts. No shouting, no drama, just facts. Locked room, phone taken, pressure to sign, capacity assessor, land registry mismatch. One officer nodded slowly and said, You did the right thing leaving. The other officer asked, Do you want to return inside to collect anything else? I shook my head. No. Because that's another lesson. Don't go back into a risky space for a charger or a jumper. Your safety is worth more than your stuff. The officers spoke to Liam and Sienna at the door. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard enough. I heard the words safeguarding concern. I heard coercive control. I heard financial abuse. Sienna started crying, loudly, performatively. Liam kept trying to explain, like he could talk his way out of gravity. Then Mr. Hargreaves stepped outside and spoke to the officers quietly. He handed them a note. His professional concern carried weight. Within minutes, the mood changed. The officers became firmer. A marked car pulled up behind the first one, then another. But not chaos, not violence, just the slow tightening of a net. They asked Liam and Sienna for documents. Proof they lived there. Proof they had a legal right. They didn't have it. And when they tried to argue, the officers didn't debate feelings. They asked for paperwork. This is why education matters. Scams and fraud survive on confusion. The moment someone insists on documents, the lie starts to collapse. I sat in the neighbour's front garden on a small bench while it happened, holding a cup of tea he made me in an old mug with a chip on the rim. Real tea, real kindness, no performance. "You weren't the first," he said quietly, "and you wouldn't have been the last." I nodded, staring at my hands. "It's strange," I said. "You spend years raising a child, and then one day you realize you're not arguing with your son anymore. You're dealing with a stranger wearing his face." He didn't try to comfort me with cliches. He just said, "You got out. That's the win." Later that night, I was taken somewhere safe, not back to my old place. That was gone. But safe doesn't have to be perfect. Safe just has to be safe. Over the next days, the adult safeguarding team contacted me. My bank contacted me too, because the person I trusted had called them and flagged a concern. The bank asked me questions that sounded boring, but those boring questions are powerful. Did anyone pressure you to transfer money? Did anyone take your phone? Did anyone ask for your online banking? Did anyone try to make you sign something you didn't understand? Each yes built a record, and records protect you. I also did what adults must do when family turns into risk. I changed my passwords. I froze my credit file. I told my bank to add a note. Extra checks for unusual transfers. I told them a simple rule. No big moves without a phone call to me and one trusted contact. It wasn't dramatic. It was practical. And practical is what saves people. As for Liam and Sienna, the truth came out in the way it often does in Britain. Not with a big courtroom speech, but through forms, logs, calls, and evidence. The property didn't belong to them. Their business wasn't what they claimed. Their urgency wasn't ambition. It was debt and panic. And their biggest mistake was thinking I would be too ashamed to say it out loud. Because shame is the chain that keeps victims quiet. Once you break that chain, the scam loses its power. I won't pretend it didn't hurt. It did. A mother can survive loneliness. A mother can survive a cold winter. But realizing your own child planned to strip you of choice, there's a grief in that which doesn't have a neat name. Still, Chapter 3 has to end with the truth, not a fantasy. The truth is, I did not win by humiliating them. I won by leaving. I won by refusing to sign. I won by telling someone. I won by choosing safety over pride. And here is what I want every adult listening to this to take away. Because this is the part that turns a story into something useful. If a family member rushes you, isolates you, takes your phone, or asks you to sign power of attorney quickly, pause. That pause can save your life. If someone insists you bring money in a way that can't be reversed, like a fast transfer to help them, pause again. If they tell you not to speak to a solicitor of your own choice, pause. If they say, "Don't tell anyone," they won't understand, pause. Because love doesn't need secrecy. Control does. Also, know this practical tip. In the UK, you can check a property's owner through the land registry. It costs a small fee and takes minutes. If someone claims a house is theirs, a simple title register can confirm it. And one more thing, the one most people hate to hear. Just because someone is your child doesn't mean they are safe. Family titles are not proof of character. Consistency is. Respect is. Freedom is. Weeks later, I sat in a quiet room with a warm cup of tea, not in a glass mansion, not on a cold mattress, and I felt something I hadn't expected, relief. Not because I wanted to lose my son, but because I finally stopped trying to save a version of him that no longer existed. I didn't come out of this with a perfect new life. I came out with my mind, my dignity, and my right to choose. And if you're listening to this and something about it feels familiar, if you've ever felt pressured, rushed, cornered, please hear me clearly. You are not being dramatic. You are being warned. And the moment you speak up, the trap starts to break.